Saint Josephine Bakhita is one of those more recent saints and can teach us a lot about our attitude to faith and our attitude to emotions like anger and resentment. She is renowned for a simple phrase: God has loved me so much, we should love one another. But the first part of her life certainly does not depict love at all. She was born in 1869, and at the age of 9, she was kidnapped by slave traders. She was bought and sold many times, and during these exchanges she was tortured and suffered unspeakable violence. Violence that left her scarred, both physically, with 140 scars, over 140 scars on her body, and emotionally scarred for the rest of her life. What she went through just shows how low human beings can go when we try our best to hurt one another. Eventually, Bakita, that was the name that was given to her, which ironically means fortunate. Eventually, Bakita was sold to the Italian consul at Khartoum. It is thought that perhaps the Italian consul bought her to give her freedom, as he did so with other young slaves and returned them to their villages. But this is not quite certain. However that may be, Bakita by then had forgotten even her own name, the name that she had been given by her family as a child, and she had forgotten where she came from. When the Italian consul returned to his homeland, to Italy, Bakita went with him and his family, working in their household. And the consul gave her, which sounds incredibly odd to our ears, he gave her to one of his friends, where Bakita worked as a childminder, as a nanny to the family's child. She accompanied the child, Mimina, to a convent school when the family returned to Africa. And she stayed with the child in this convent for a couple of years. There she received Christian instructions, she received catechesis. She became a Christian. She was baptized and confirmed in 1890. When the mother of the child, Mimina, came to pick up her daughter after some months, she wanted to take the nanny with her. At the end of the day, she thought, I own her, so she has to come with us to Africa. Bakita, who by then had assumed the baptismal name of Josephine, refused, and the court case ensued, in which the family claimed ownership over Josephine, and the Patriarch of Venice, the sisters of the convent where she was, and the king's attorney sided on the other part. In the end, the court decided that because slavery was illegal, Josephine was free, and she didn't have to be with the family if she didn't want to. Later on, in 1893, Josephine, willingly, of her own free will, she entered that same convent as a novice, and 3 years later became a nun, making her solemn vows. A few years later, she moved to another convent in Schio, also in north of Italy, and she stayed there for 45 years, working as a doorkeeper to the convent, as a cook, as an embroiderer, and devoting her life to prayer and service. Through her, people always saw joy, confidence in the Christian faith, and love. She became very popular in the town, and people saw that she did not harbor any anger or resentment for those who kidnapped her, those who bought and sold her, and those who took her to court to claim ownership over her. In all this, Josephine never willed or asked for vengeance. Her mind was wholly fixed on the Lord whom she called the Master. In Italian, she called it Padron, which doesn't also mean master, it also means the owner. Her spiritual testament can be summed up in one of her phrases: be good, love the Lord, and pray for those who do not know him. What great grace is to know the Lord. Josephine could have done something else, could have sought vengeance, could have sought retribution, and yet she decided to spend her life loving the Lord, the sisters in the convent, the community outside, and to spread the Christian faith. At the end of her life, she said, "I'm slowly walking towards eternity with 2 luggages in my hand. One with my sins, but the other one, the far heavier one, a luggage full of the infinite merits of Christ." It is this sort of saints that should inspire us to put away our anger, to put away our resentments, and to instead focus our attention on Jesus Christ alone, on faith and joy in him.